She is Dr. Cynthia Carver, Associate Professor, Oakland University School of Education and Human Services. And Dr. Carver, thank you very much for joining us on the MegaCast.
Thank you for the invitation.
Well, by the way, speaking of Facebook Live, when we were on the Oakland University Facebook Live page, the show set its record with 23,000 viewers on our show that day. Now, we had the president of your university on, but it's just amazing what's going on. So we have had so many great experts from Oakland University join us over the past couple of months, and I want to thank you for joining us as well.
It's a great place.
So I'm telling you, we're going to talk to other education experts, including our good friend, Dr. Hill in West Bloomfield, superintendent there. But man, the pivot that educators have pulled off here over the past several months is absolutely amazing.
It is. It's astounding. It's astounding. And they deserve a hero's cheer for all they've done.
Do you want to talk about that, especially in the context of they had no notice? I mean, I remember the day this broke out. We were, obviously COVID-19 had been around, but the day that everything shut down, it happened really quick. I remember one morning we were getting ready to do a major event, and by the afternoon we decided that we couldn't have anyone in the building, and the next day we were, sending students home. There was literally no warning and no time for the schools to plan how to go.
Right. It's interesting because I was in contact with two superintendents at exactly that time. One of them was finishing her doctorate the morning schools were closed on campus, and we weren't sure whether we could even have her defense on campus, and was following and listening to all the deliberations that went around. What do you do when now children are home and you're still responsible for delivering instruction? What does that look like? What are the issues of access? That was one of that first week, so many questions about what can we do? What do we have to do? What do we do for those that don't have access? They either don't have access to Wi-Fi or they don't have the hardware, the computers, the Chromebooks, the laptops, the iPads that are needed. Do you do packets of information that you print off and deliver? And we have some districts that did that initially. There were so many questions, and everybody's heads were spinning as we tried to decide how best to do that. And there were a number of districts that had to change their decision making from day to day.
But, we have focused so much on that over the past several months. The thing that we haven't spent as much time to talk about is the impact this had on teachers who were making all this happen, and the impact it will have on the teachers that you're working with, the future teachers in our schools. It wasn't just getting these plans in place. Teachers really needed to change so much of what they were doing every day. Can you tell us about what that change looked like for them?
Yeah. All of our teachers are acquainted with and use instructional technology in their classrooms. And that's true of our practicing teachers as well as the work we do with our teacher preparation students. But what's different is that's now the primary mode of delivery. And that is brand new to really wrap your head around how to do that. The teachers that I work with are really, really spending a lot of time thinking about engagement. How do we engage students in learning when it's primary through an online medium? How do we manage a classroom of students in a class meeting on Zoom? There are just all sorts of new questions that we're wrestling with. And I think that engagement piece is one of the biggest ones that I hear teachers talking about.
Dr. Cynthia Carver is our guest. She's Associate Professor, Oakland University School of Education and Human Services. And Dr. Carver, I assume it is you and your colleagues that are teaching people how to be teachers, if I am correct.
That's correct.
So, you're right in the middle of it. Have some of your former students who are out around Oakland County and elsewhere been talking to you, talking about the challenges? Have you had dialogue with them over the past couple of months?
Absolutely. And I have a number of students in graduate classes as well that I hear from. And I'm hearing a lot of the stress of worry and concern about children. Are they doing well at home? Are their needs being met? What is happening when students aren't logging on and participating? Lots of concerns in that regard, or making sure that they know how to use the technology or their questions are being answered. um, that's where I see a lot of the concern, as well as the creativity and the flexibility that's needed by a classroom teacher as they rethink how to um, prepare for, present, deliver instruction in this completely new medium.
Well, and what's good about there's always a lot of
Mhm,
good.
mhm.
There is always a lot of good in every crisis, and we have good all over the place if you go to look for it. But at the same time that students are changing, everyone else is changing too, and the workplace that the students that are being educated right now will look very different
Mhm.
than the workplace we all worked in even last year. So, learning remotely at home in a home environment might be a very helpful skill for students as they get ready for
Mm.
their future business career.
Right. One of the things that when I'm talking with parents, like to stress is helping their child develop independence. That is something classroom teachers are always working on. How do I help the children in my classroom? And that's true at the elementary, middle, and high school level. Be independent in solving problems. How do I equip them with the tools to think through the problems that they face that they don't even realize? We don't know what problems and decisions they're going to face. But how do we give them the skills for thinking through those problems, and also bringing the right resources to bear and developing that independence so our learners are confident and able to work independently is really important. And I think parents need to realize that too. They don't have to, and I hear this so much from parents. I felt like I had to watch over my child and make sure that they were doing what their teacher asked them to do. And I have to answer all their questions. And I think sometimes we have to say to children, um, what have you tried already? Did you try this? Why don't you spend 10 minutes on it and then come to me about it? We just really need to encourage that independence. And some of that comes from just having the confidence.
You
Right.
provoke some thought on my part here a moment ago. Dr. Cynthia Carver, associate professor, Oakland University School of Education, joining us. And let me get that complete: Oakland University School of Education and Human Services, joining us here on the MegaCast. And Dr. Carver, I was just thinking. I guess I never really thought about this until a moment ago. I was just thinking in the context of high school students, but you think about elementary students, the socialization of a second grader or first grader, or even third, fourth, fifth, all the way through the elementary years. That's maybe as important as, learning how to read and write. And that can be a challenge in the internet or via Zoom.
Right. And you had asked me previously, what are teachers struggling with? And that is something that I'm hearing a lot of teachers talk about, is that they're missing their students and their students are missing their teachers, but also their classmates.
No, I get it.
So how do you
Yeah.
create those Zoom team meetings and give people a chance to talk with one another? My neighbors across the backyard have two young boys, and they've been each other's playmates for several weeks, many weeks now. And it's important that kids have opportunities to socialize, as you said, have enjoy their friendships. Um, and the more we can use technology to do that.
Dr. Carver, what tips would you have for parents? Because you're right, they all feel like they are the teacher now.
Mhm.
Now that they are right there with their students, if they are at home when their students are learning. Tips for parents?
Involve your children in as many things that you're doing around the house as possible and turn them into learning opportunities. So, a lot of people are doing landscaping right now, working out in their yards. Get your kids involved, get them excited about planting and watching things come up and grow. Help them in the kitchen, get them involved and have them preparing meals, give them the responsibility to prepare meals. I was on a Finland school visit a couple years ago, and they're so good at having kids take on home responsibilities. If you're fixing up a room and doing some painting or doing drywall, involve your kids. I think we forget and we think that learning opportunities only exist in the walls of our schools, but learning opportunities exist everywhere for our kids. And if parents see that and take on that challenge, our kids will come through this pandemic.
Dr. Carver, can parents go too far, though? Too, I mean, if they try to replace the teacher in the home,
Mm-hmm.
is that a mistake? And is there do they need to be cognizant at least to let the teacher be the teacher and let the parent be the parent?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because teachers are highly skilled and trained. They're able to, for example, let's take reading with young children. They're very specialized skills around being able to observe and work with a young learner, as they're learning to parents to have those same skills. That's something a trained teacher spends a great deal of time developing that expertise. But what a parent can do is encourage children to read, and then ask questions about what they're reading and model reading for their children. So I think it's helping parents realize that there are many ways in which, as a parent, by engaging kids in lots of questions, talking with them, sharing with them your own curiosities about the world, having them work alongside you as you take on projects around the house and the home, are all really good opportunities to help support learning, knowing that it's not going to replace what a teacher does, but it's going to augment it and enhance it in really important ways.
Dr. Carver, we only have a minute left. Dr. Cynthia Carver, Associate Professor, Oakland University School of Education and Human Services. Have you had to adjust or adapt your curriculum for teachers that you're working with and preparing for being out in the educational community?
We've had so many discussions about what things are going to look like in the fall and how we best prepare teachers. One of the things we're doing is we're going to be working with some new software that uses avatars. And we're excited to try that, to give our students opportunities early on in their teacher preparation program to work on very finite skills. It might be leading a small group discussion with middle schoolers, and managing the classroom dynamics that go on, and using the avatars in those early classes, because we don't know what schools are going to look like in the fall, and we don't know how many opportunities our students are going to have. We have a number of our classes are taught in schools, and we're not sure what that's going to look like this fall. We also have students do 600 hours right up through student teaching in the local schools. So we're having to rethink how that happens and how we do that with social distancing on campus.
Yeah, and it looks to me like most of the schools are going to have to run at a much at best will be in the building maybe half of the time they were in the past. Is that what you see in your crystal ball?
My crystal ball has a couple different options, and we'll see what those look like. I
Okay.
won't get to choose what schools do. I think we all know that we want to give students as many opportunities for face-to-face instruction as possible, but we also need to be safe. And we're thinking about that a lot, students here on campus. So how can we use technology, leverage technology, and other tools that we have in our toolkit to ensure that the teachers that we're preparing are going to be well qualified and ready to start when they do graduate from our program.
All right, Dr. Carver, thank you for your time. Let's keep in touch. And this is This is the one, I would say, the main topic of conversation on the show. A lot of concern as parents, students, the community figure out how we go forward with education here in our country and at home in Oakland County. Thank you for your time today.